Alright, so today we're going to talk about my preseason top 25 for the 2021 college football season. And feel free to let me know your own top 25, what you think I got right, and what you think I got wrong down in the comment section. Let's get started. At number 25, I have the Texas Longhorns. Every year, Texas is seemingly overrated just a little bit, and to be honest, I don't know if they deserve to be ranked, but Bijan Robinson is a dark horse Heisman candidate, and so far the quarterback room, Hudson Card and Casey Thompson, has been pretty entertaining. Plus, I will admit, I kind of have bought into the hype of Steve Sarkisian, and I'm excited to see what Texas can do. At number 24, I have the Penn State Nittany Lions. After a very disappointing 4-5 campaign last year, the Nittany Lions returned almost all their starters from last year's team, and I do think they're going to have a bounce back year. It'll definitely be a make or break season for Sean Clifford, but they have some young talented running backs and one of the best young tandems of wide receivers in the country in Parker Washington and Jahan Dotson. They will have to find a new tight end after Pat Freiermuth left for the NFL, but Penn State always finds the next guy, and I'm pumped to see how they do. I think they could be even higher than this, but as of right now, it's hard to say that Penn State really deserves to be ranked that high after last year. At number 23, I have the Washington Huskies out of the Pac-12. They returned 17 combined starters, and besides Elijah Molden, I don't really think they lost anyone that isn't replaceable. The quarterback battle will be interesting, as it'll likely come down to Dylan Morris and 5-star freshman Sam Heward, but that will be one of the more entertaining camp battles this year, and I do think the Washington Huskies have a good chance to be the second best team in the North. At number 22, I have the Wisconsin Badgers. They will likely be a little bit higher by the end of the year because the Big Ten West is so incredibly bad, but Paul Chryst always has the Badgers competing and at the top of their division. They returned star quarterback Graham Mertz after Jack Cohen transferred to Notre Dame, and Jalen Berger will look to be the next great running back for the Wisconsin program. They will need to reload and develop some talent on both the offensive line and the defense, plus I would like to see a true star wide receiver develop for them, but I think Wisconsin will have a great year, and had they not run into all that testing trouble last year, they could have been one of the better teams in the country, as we saw what Graham Mertz did week 1. At number 21, we have our second team out of the Pac-12 in the Arizona State Sun Devils. There are two reasons why I have them ranked. One is Jaden Daniels, as he is one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and he will definitely elevate his play. Second is Herm Edwards, as he's recruiting really well, has a great coaching staff, and has a lot of talented players on this roster. Arizona State could be a boomer bust type team for the 2021 season, and they should compete with USC for the Pac-12 South. At number 20, I have the UCF Knights out of the American. With Josh Heupel leaving for Tennessee, the Knights grabbed one of the best coaches in all of college football in Gus Malzahn. He'll have one of the best quarterbacks in the country in Dylan Gabriel to work with as well, plus incoming running back transfer from Northwestern Isaiah Bowser, and combine that with a lot of young talented players, great coaching, and a star wide receiver in Jalen Robinson. I think the Knights will be good, and they will be competing with Cincinnati for the American Conference. At number 19, I think I have the biggest wild card in college football this year, the Oregon Ducks. Mario Cristobal has done a great job building this program, and they have one of the most loaded defenses we've seen in a long time, and some are saying it is the best in school history. Headlined by Kayvon Thibodeau, the Ducks truly have an elite defense, but we're going to have to figure out what's going on the offensive side. They have an established running back in CJ Verdell, but the quarterback situation will come down to former Boston College quarterback grad transfer Anthony Brown or true freshman Ty Thompson. They will need to establish a new tight end and a number 1 wide receiver option, but I'm confident the Ducks will get it done, and I do believe that they will win the Pac-12 North. At number 18, I have the Iowa Hawkeyes. Led by quarterback Spencer Petras, Iowa won their last 6 games before they were not allowed to play in their bowl game against Missouri due to some positive tests from Mizzou. Kirk Ferentz always has the Hawkeyes near the top of the Big Ten West, and they will have to replace a lot of weapons, but they have a lot of talented young players, and I do believe that the Hawkeyes will have a great season. At number 17, we have my favorite group of 5 school, the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns. I am super high on Billy Napier, as he was one of the top assistant coaches in all of college football and worked at Clemson and Alabama before he took the head coaching job at Louisiana. He is a star quarterback in Levi Lewis and returns 20 of the 22 starters from last year's squad. They will have to replace Elijah Mitchell, a running back who was drafted, and they had to completely overhaul the staff, but I do believe Louisiana has the talent to win a lot of games. Napier is a brilliant coach, and do not be surprised if they upset the Texas Longhorns. At number 17, I have another team out of the SEC West in the Ole Miss Rebels. They shocked a lot of people last year in their first year under head coach Lane Kiffin, and Matt Corral is definitely one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football. Elijah Moore became a superstar last year, and the biggest question mark besides that defense is who will replace his production. They brought in wide receiver Ja'Cour Pearson from Western Kentucky, who was one of the top wide receivers in the group of 5 in 2019, and he should be looked to take over right away. They also have a ton of talented wideouts and recruits, so I don't think that'll be a problem. The defense is the big question mark though, and if they can put that together, Ole Miss can be one of the top teams in the country, and I do think they can surprise some people. At number 15, we have the Indiana Hoosiers. Under head coach Tom Allen, they broke out in the 2020 season, nearly upset Ohio State, and were one of the Cinderella stories. Led by quarterback Michael Penix, the Hoosiers have a fantastic offense, which will include USC transfer running back Stephen Carr, one of the top tight ends in the country in Peyton Hendershot, and wide receiver Ty Freifogel. The defense is led by Tywan Mullen and Micah McFadden, and the team really does not have a lot of holes. They start the season with some tough games, including Cincinnati and Iowa, and also play Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State, so it should be interesting to see how it all plays out. But I think the Hoosiers could have a spectacular year, and somehow, if a few dominoes roll their way, maybe they could find themselves competing for the Big Ten East. At number 14, we have the LSU Tigers. 2 years removed from a national title now, the Tigers will have to find a new quarterback, as Miles Brennan and Max Johnson will likely battle it out. They also need to find out who their new running back is, but they have a ton of talent, and Kayshon Boutte will be one of the best wide receivers in the country. As usual, they will have a great defense, and they obviously have a ton of talent from recruiting, so I do believe that LSU is the third best team in the SEC West, which is a stacked division. At number 13, we have Notre Dame. Last year, they went to the college football playoff and lost to the Alabama Crimson Tide, and now they'll need to find a new quarterback. It's either going to be Wisconsin transfer Jack Cohen or the highly touted freshman Tyler Buckner, and either way, I think the Irish are in good hands. At running back, they have Chris Tyree and Kyron Williams, and they have, in my opinion, one of the best tight ends in the country in Michael Mayer. They will need to find a new number one wide receiver option, and there are a few holes to fill on defense, but Kyle Hamilton is one of the best safeties in the country and will be a top 5 pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. And Notre Dame is a team that can surprise a lot of people, but they just got to figure out who the wide receiver is and who the quarterback will be. At number 13, we have the top team out of the Pac-12, and that's the USC Trojans. They went 5-1 last year before they lost in the Pac-12 championship, and they'll be led by one of the best quarterbacks in the nation in Keaton Slovis. They returned 16 starters and have a really good running back in Keontae Ingram. They will need to see a wide receiver step up after they lost Tyler Vaughns and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Plus, the defense will need to develop a little bit more, but USC could find themselves in the title hunt if Clay Helton can finally put it all together. At number 11, I am probably jumping the gun as I do have the Miami Hurricanes. I think De'Aaron King is a great player and a difference maker, and Charleston Rambo could become a superstar for him. I also like the young running backs, I like the defense, and I like the culture of the new Miami. And despite a lot of bad performances from that defense last year, I do think they will get it together in 2021 and become one of the top teams in the nation. Now we finally get into the top 10, and if you have not already, be sure to subscribe if you love consistent college football. Hit that like button and let me know your thoughts so far. I have the Florida Gators at number 10, and this is a team that I think could climb even higher. I am super high on incoming quarterback Emory Jones, as he has been highly touted and talked about for a while now. They'll have plenty of options at running back to pick from, as they have two former 5-star running backs in Lorenzo Lingard and DeMarcus Bowman. They will need to find a new number one wide receiver after Kadarius Toney left for the NFL, and after Kyle Pitts left for the NFL, but there are plenty of talented options, and maybe, just maybe, Justin Shorter will finally put it all together. The defense should be good once again, and if Florida can just figure out a few things, they could be competing for a college football playoff spot, and I am pumped for when Bama will come to Gainesville this fall. Cincinnati has quickly become one of the top Group of 5 schools, if not the best Group of 5 schools over the last few years. Luke Fickell has done an amazing job, and they return a senior quarterback who is on a mission in Desmond Ridder. Former Alabama transfer Jerome Ford should be good at running back, and Alec Pierce is one of the top wideouts in the American Conference. On defense, they have a ton of talented players, including guys like MJ Sanders, Kobe Bryant, and Darian Beavers. And overall, it just seems like Cincinnati has all the pieces to win big games. And maybe they could go on the road and beat Notre Dame, where their former defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman is now at. At number 8, I have another team that I am just banking on being good, and that's the North Carolina Tar Heels. Led by quarterback Sam Howell, who in my opinion is the best quarterback for 2021. The Tar Heels should be great under head coach Mack Brown. They will lose Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, Daz Newsome, and De'Ami Brown, but Josh Downs will be the next superstar wide receiver to come through for the Tar Heels, and they have a couple talented running backs and playmakers who will definitely fit into the system. They return 10 starters from the defense, but will lose their leader in Chaz Surratt. In my opinion, they just have to figure out the running back position, which they already have Tennessee transfer Ty Chandler, and if they can just figure out the wide receiver spot, the Tar Heels legitimately could be college football playoff contenders and could beat Clemson. Now we get into the territory where things got pretty tough for me, and at number 7, we have the second best team in the SEC West, the Texas A&M Aggies. Under head coach Jimbo Fisher, the Aggies last year competed for a college football playoff spot, but their early season loss to Bama would prove to be the nail in the coffin. Now they'll have to replace their quarterback Kellen Mond, but they have two great options in Zach Calzada and Haynes King, and I do believe that King will win the job. They have one of the top running backs in the country in Isaiah Spiller, my favorite tight end in the country for 2021 in Jalen Weidermeyer, and a couple talented wide receivers in Cameron Chapman and Chase Lane. On the defensive side of the ball, they have one of the top players in the country in DeMarvin Leal, and overall, this A&M squad is extremely talented, but once again, the season will come down to the quarterback play and if they can beat Alabama. If you would have told me 5 years ago that the Iowa State Cyclones would be ranked number 6 in a preseason poll, I would have thought you were crazy. Led by star quarterback Brock Purdy and star running back Breece Hall, the Cyclones have an extremely talented offense, and you cannot forget Charlie Collar, who is one of the best tight ends in the nation as well. They have a stacked defense, a great coach in Matt Campbell, and a winning culture with a lot of experience. If Iowa State can somehow have one loss and win the Big 12 championship, they will definitely find themselves in the college football playoff, and this is probably the best chance Iowa State will have in a long time, and I'm super pumped to watch how they'll play. Now we get into the top 5, and it's basically going to be the perennial Blue Bloods who are always there. At first, we have Ohio State. Ryan Day has done a great job with the Buckeyes, leading them to the college football playoff in his first 2 seasons. They will have to find a new quarterback as Jack Miller, CJ Stroud, and Kyle McCord will battle it out. Plus, they have a logjam of 5 different running backs and so many wide receivers that I can't even count them. The defense will be good once again, and there's really no reason why they should not win the Big Ten. The games against Oregon, Indiana, and Penn State will be the deciding factor in their season and determine if they get a college football playoff spot. And number 4, we have the Oklahoma Sooners. Spencer Rattler did not look great at the beginning of last year, as the Sooners lost to both Kansas State and Iowa State. They would get it together though, and the season would end with a thrashing of the Florida Gators. Rattler is back, and many do believe he is the top quarterback in the country, while I do think he is second, and there's an immense amount of talent in Norman. The biggest question mark for the Sooners will be the defense, but I think Alex Grinch is going to turn a corner, and I do believe that Oklahoma will find themselves in the college football playoff and will have a legitimate chance to win it all. At number 3, we have the Clemson Tigers. After they lost Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, the Tigers will have to reload, but they will have DJ Uiagalelei and a group of talented running backs to replace him. Justin Ross and EJ Williams are back at wide receiver, plus they have an ultra-talented defense, and there really is no reason why Clemson should not win the ACC. Unless Miami and North Carolina miraculously get super good, and the Tigers drop their first game to Georgia, there's no reason why Clemson won't be back in the national title game or the college football playoff semifinal at minimum. At number 2, we have the Georgia Bulldogs. Some people say Kirby Smart is low-key on the hot seat because he has not won a title yet, but I think that's kind of blasphemy. Georgia has a ton of talent, and they finally have a great quarterback in JT Daniels. The running back spot, they have a logjam, and losing wide receiver George Pickens to injury definitely hurts, but they have plenty of options at that spot, and a really good defense, and if they can find a way to beat Clemson week 1, they could finally get back to the college football playoff, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, at number 1, I have Alabama. It's hard to pick against them, and it's hard to say there will be a better team by the end of 2021. Nick Saban always knows what he's doing, and he's now recruiting at a historic pace. They will have to find a new quarterback after Mac Jones is drafted, but Bryce Young will be the eventual successor. They have a ton of talented running backs and like 10 different receivers battling for reps. John Mechie should emerge, and Jaleel Billingsley is a popular pick for a breakout player, and as long as the defense is as good as they usually are, Alabama will find themselves in the playoff, and who knows, they will probably win another. So yeah, that is my preseason top 25 and kind of a quick glance / preview at what each team's going to look like, and I'm definitely going to dive deeper into all of them as I start my college football previews very soon, as I'll go through each team, their schedule, their recruiting, their coaches, their impact players, and just overall expectations for each program. So if you don't want to miss that, please be sure to turn on post notifications, and I will leave a link to that playlist down in the comment section. And although there's only one video in there so far, chances are you will probably see this later on in the summer, so be sure to click that link and check out all my previews. Before you go, let me know what your thoughts are on today's video, what I got right, what I got wrong, and what your opinion is. Before you go, be sure you've hit that like button and subscribe, and check out all my other videos on the end screen, including 25 quarterback transfers who could be instant impact players. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.